Welcome back to the MilRes certification course. How are we doing so far?
Great.
We've gone through several sessions, and I just want to ask a question to you. Anybody picked up an idea they want to share that they're going to use? What did you pick up?
All about this new program.
The new program, the GPS program.
Something I was not aware of.
Not aware of. Stay tuned. There's more. Anyone else pick up something they want to share that they're going to take out tomorrow and carry forward?
I have to admit, it was a revelation to me how important it is to use rank when addressing a military member. It's
Using
not-
rank, sure.
Yeah.
That's just an understanding.
Yeah.
It's an understanding, and it shows them that you care, and it shows that you know you are educated enough. Now we're going to move to a great section. We're going to move to a section that has most of our military, and we're moving to the veterans. These are our heroes. Our heroes. We're going to talk about military benefits. Obviously, we're realtors. We're going to focus much on the housing benefits they have, but it's important to understand some of the medical benefits, simply because you're going to be working with people that perhaps were wounded warriors. And how do you provide housing for these folks? We're going to talk about VA financing and the benefits that are involved around there. We're going to talk about interviewing lenders. Did you hear what I said? Interviewing lenders. How many people have interviewed a lender? This is going to, you have interviewed lenders? That's excellent. You got a couple people, because you should. We get interviewed. I want to know their job qualifications, and G has put together such a great package for interviewing lenders and what questions to ask to see how dedicated they are to helping you and helping your military personnel. So let's get started. What do you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Veterans, you have to understand something. How many people are veterans? What is a veteran? We talked about it earlier, but a veteran is anyone who has served. All right, could be one day. Now, there's a saying, once a soldier, always a soldier. And another interesting thing I picked up is that if you ask somebody, did you serve? Typically they'll say, I'm a veteran. But if they served in the Marines, they'll say, yes, I was a Marine. It's quite interesting to see that, and I've picked it up and I noted. So note that. If you're talking to Marines, they're Marines, the few, the proud. Even though they're all serving together, they consider themselves the Marines. Are you a realtor? No, you're a RE/MAX realtor. You see the difference? So as long as you have that in your mind, and it's the attitude, that's the attitude they have. You get the attitude out to them. Are you a realtor? No, I'm a MilRes. I'm here to provide the military client the best services they can get. And that's what's going to happen. I love this. This was written on marble, and it said this: I am an American soldier. I am a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States. I will always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. I am guardian of freedom and the American way of life. I am an American soldier. I guess in Colorado, there's a lot of people listen to country music. If you have the opportunity, listen to Toby Keith's song, An American Soldier. And I defy you to try to do it without tearing up. And if you know about the song is about a gentleman gets a phone call, he's being deployed, he goes through all that, and then it shows him taking off. But to me, it's the wife and the two kids that are holding onto the fence watching the plane leave. To me, it's not just about the soldier. The soldier signed up. The soldier knew there's a possibility. The kids didn't. The wife maybe didn't. So that's who was left behind, and that's who we have to take care of. As veterans, now you're veterans, you're dealing with a lot of issues with older veterans, with Vietnam veterans that have their own sets of issues, their own divorces. You need to think about how are they dealing with their families? How can we help their families? We're working with people I'm working with a family right now that's third generation military, which is kind of interesting because it's like one went in and the other one. And I said, well, I asked the youngest, well, why? Why are you? And he said, because that's what our family does. Is that a military culture you don't find outside the military? That's what our family does. I think it's a beautiful thing. Veterans have benefits. They have housing and relocation benefits. They have job potential, right? They have people. Right now there are so many companies that have signed on. I know you've heard Walmart Goldman Sachs. There are 10 large corporations that have signed on to hire 100,000 veterans in the next 18 months. They're going to hire them. This is a beautiful thing. And when you're talking about job potential, after a veteran gets out of the service, G was talking about the separation from the service, you want to talk to them about, okay, if you don't know where you're going to be stationed, what do you want to do? If a veteran was simply a working in like engine repairs, airplane engine repairs, obviously, somewhere around where they either manufacture aircraft or there's an airport. So you can help them just by understanding what they did when they were active duty. So you can help them there. And affordability. A lot of times veterans aren't much different than civilians. They think they can afford something, but most likely they may not be able to. Or if they have to move, is it the right decision? That's what you're going to come in and tell them. Educational benefits. They've expanded over the last several years, and there's more information in your book on the benefits that are provided. So we're going to give you basically the headlines the headlines of the program. And it's like oftentimes when I hear them, the reason I said headlights is because I feel like a deer in headlights, and I didn't know that. Educational benefits I thought was a GI Bill. Does everybody know about the GI Bill? Yeah. So that was for a 2 or 4 year degree, correct? It's changed. Now they've added, you can go become a welder. You can work any other kind of like different type of employment that offers training. You can qualify for the GI Bill. So it's pretty interesting that they broaden their horizons. And what's interesting about it is most people that get out of the service previously that wanted education benefits, they went and got a 2 or 4 year degree. After they got out of the 2 or 4 year degree, they couldn't get a job. And it's worse today than it was 10 years ago. Why not take what they already know, the skill set that they know, get higher educated in a technical sense, and then get a job? Computer, data processing. If you know that, then you can help point them towards an area maybe they want to live. All right, VA loan benefits, veterans health benefits. Benefits change. The benefits are available for people that are basically 20 years plus. You get retirement benefit, 20 years and a day. If it's less than that, you don't get a retirement benefit. That is going to change. I don't know if you read the article in Esquire magazine about the Navy SEAL Team 6, the guy that actually shot bin Laden. Now, a lot of people are very aggravated that he broke the code of silence from the SEALs, and rightfully so. But I read the article in Esquire, and I was fascinated by what he was talking about. He was talking about this. As a Navy SEAL, he's been on several missions. He has cracked vertebrae. He has broken bones all over his body, yet he's not 20 years. So he gets nothing. Oh. You see? He gets nothing. Now, what's his job? I mean, his job, what is he going to be? He's going to be a guard. Typically, if you're out of the SEALs, you're going into private security around the world, something like that, because that's your skill set, right? Mm-hmm. You know, in real estate, do you need to have SEAL training? Mm-hmm. Occasionally, but sometimes. Occasionally.
It could come in handy for once in a while, though.
It could, seriously. Mm-hmm. But typically you don't. But when you're thinking about that, he went to Congress, and he's fighting to try to get benefits for people that aren't in for 20 years. Because I'm not positive, but it's either 50 or 75 years ago, they haven't changed the rules. Mm-hmm. And the world has changed. He makes reference to the fact that he makes the same amount of money that a librarian at Fort Bragg makes. He gets 90 days worth of health after he gets out. Now, do you think he needs the health benefit with the maladies that he's suffering right now? And that's what we're fighting for. But so you have to understand, what are the health benefits? What are you entitled to? And many of your veterans are going to choose to live close to a military base because they get benefits by using the services on the post, right? And they're going to want to live sometimes near a veterans hospital or medical facility. These are the questions. So you can charge ahead of your competition. Charge ahead by understanding the questions that we're going to get into. Okay, there's a program out in VA financing called HAP, Homeowners Assistance Program. If you haven't heard of it, we've got a lot of information on the book. But the reason we left it in here because guess what? HAPT is largely underfunded. It's only to be used for surviving spouses and somebody that's disabled, and the percentages are pretty high on the disability, wounded. The reason we left it here, very important, because it could be refunded. It's an act of Congress that puts more money back into it. Homeowners Assistance Program is a way to help people get mortgages. That's what it's about. If you're in certain states, California has CalVet. Texas has a program. I don't know a lot of the states. I look them up every time I try to find, and I'm finding that more and more states are following CalVet and Texas by providing their own mortgage assistance. Mortgage companies. G and I had the pleasure of meeting with the people down at JP Morgan Chase about the new veterans program they're putting together, which offers an additional $435 back to the service member. And then we talked to the people at Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo does more veteran loans than anybody for the last several years. They have the biggest program. They also have programs where they're giving monies back over and above the veterans benefit. So look into that. Who is going to help you? I know that even online I saw Quicken Loans. Quicken Loans has a huge program geared towards veterans. Okay? Look at them up. Boom. Just put them up, and you're just doing a comparison, much like you do a comparison for a regular buyer, whether they should go conventional, whether they should go FHA, etc. Put that VA in. It's not that difficult. As a matter of fact, it's more rewarding for the extra paper that you put together, the extra piece of paper. I always like to say, to VA or not to VA? What is the question? You have to ask yourself, should I do a veteran's loan? Should I do a VA loan? Should I not, as a client? You can guide them through. There are different circumstances that change from the first time you use your entitlement to the second time to the third time. And there are issues that surround whether you are active duty, whether you are a reservist. So understand what are you entitled to? Okay. Why do so few people use the program? Why do you think only 7% actually have a VA loan? Does anybody have any just guesses?
They don't know how to use it.
They don't understand.
They don't understand. It's misunderstood. Complicated. They're complicated. But they're coming to us. This is our job. Our job is to try to just take all this complication and kind of like clear it up so you can see it in a clear, concise manner so you can make an informed decision. This course is about a lot of complicated issues, but we've broken it down so you can say, here's what you need to know, but we're hoping that when you leave the class, you'll go forward and you'll learn more about the little rocks, the great rocks we gave you, the Service Member Civil Relief Act. You know, what do I need to know about it? And then put that in your toolkit and win. When should I not recommend VA financing? You have to ask these people that. For instance, if somebody came up to me and they were a veteran and they said, "This is how much you're putting down." Is that a fair question? Mm-hmm. And they say 25%. Should I kind of like tell them, Mel, you may not want to use your VA entitlement. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be cheaper if you worked the numbers out if you went conventional? Yeah. Apparently they have cash. You know, how many people ask, and this is a question that covers veterans, it covers anybody else. Do you have any cash? Do you have any money? You ever ask that person, if a person's coming in and you're taking information, you got any money? Hmm? Yeah. You ever ask that?
Not like
No.
that.
Well, here's a little story about that. In the office, sitting in the office, and this new agent comes in and he says, "I've got this buyer." I said, "Great, go interview him. You know, here's the form and all." And he comes back to me and he goes, They can't buy anything." I said, "Why?" He said, "He doesn't have a job." I said, "Well, keep going. Ask him, well, why? He doesn't have a job. Ask if he has any money." So he went back to the room. About 5 minutes later, he comes walking by. I called him and I said, What just happened? And he said, he doesn't have a job because he's rich. so ask the questions. Do you have money to put down on a property? If they're a veteran, don't assume it's 100% financing that they're looking for. Ask if they have any money and say, yeah, I can put down 30, 40, 50%. What do we need? Well, we need to know that so we can tell you let's not go VA. So do you suppose I'm giving that person better service than an agent that doesn't ask the question? That's what we're trying to get across to people. It's very important. Take it from here, G.
In the interview process, Buddy talked about the interview process. He suggested that we should be vetting the lenders because they're all different. And so what we've done and we've created for you, which is in your field manual, is a cheat sheet for the interview process. Some of the things that I think are important, because not all lenders are really doing a good job with VA. They may have VA as a component, but the person that you might be meeting with may not be the one who does a lot of them. And so they do them occasionally. But before we get into the exact questions, my suggestions to you, which is nothing more than common sense, is are they excited when they talk about VA? Do they have what sounds like a current depth and breadth of knowledge on the VA? Do they have the ability and can we communicate with them and will they communicate with us and our client through the entire transaction? Because some lenders would say, I'll talk to the client, but I don't necessarily want to talk to you all the time. And sometimes the client would rather have us talking to them than the military family or the member of the family that you're dealing directly with. What's their level of experience? How many of these have they done? What's the average timeline from the time they create the application to the time we can close? What are the rates and terms? And we'll get into that in a few moments. And also, what are the costs and fees? There are certain standard costs and fees, but there is a marked difference from lender to lender, which we've discovered as we've been learning and doing more of these ourselves, and we in turn have been interviewing many, many more lenders to determine what do you offer and how we can compare. So the comparison of costs, both soft and hard costs, I want you to make that mental note or put that in that idea sheet area of your field manual, because this can really be a game changer. The interview questions you have in the field manual. Do you originate VA exclusively? There are some lenders that VA exclusively. Now that can be great, but what happens if your client wants to shift in the middle of the stream? They've found out or they have more money than they thought. Something that's changed in their background. And so they're halfway down the path. Can we switch in the middle of the stream? Or what percentage of the loans are VA? Do you provide a package of information to the applicant? And is that, when is that delivered and how is it delivered? Do they have to come in? Because you may have one member that is in one geographic location and another decision maker who isn't. And so how is that information delivered and how can we harvest it? What will be the primary point or who will be the primary point of contact when I'm dealing with them and we have someone who is engaged in the case so that we can provide what we need or determine where there might be an issue of confusion? What do you expect the time process going to be? What percentage of your loans close? There's a company that is more of an upstart company on the eastern shore of Maryland, which is where I serve, and they don't have a very good batting average at this point because the underwriting is inconsistent. What role can I play as the agent involved in this to help them do their job and consequently serve my client, which I really want to make sure that they get the best treatment possible. And here's another one. What are the concessions that participants are offering? We have seen a dramatic difference between things like one lender may say, we'll pick up the cost of the termite, or we will provide additional discounts on certain fees. That another lender may be. Or what happens if they are in the middle of the stream? One lender has said to us, we will provide them with the same discounts on the banking fee side than we would under the VA if we still do the loan and it's conventional. Now, could that be very significant? That could add hundreds and in some cases maybe as much as 1,000 or $1,500. You know, do you have a position, and can I make sure that we're clarifying on the release process, you know, so that I can have full access to be able to communicate on there, and is there some document that my seller has to sign that says I can be entrusted and they have the legal authority to share with me what really is going on behind the scenes? And is it you or is it a team member of you that's doing that, making sure that we're all on that list? Will we provide a list of costs up front so that I can compare the apples to the apples? Because most of these people are not buying and selling real estate in a frequent level, and you'll begin to see some differences. So we may narrow the suggestions as to which lenders to be able to use. As Buddy calls it, members of our financial team. And is there anything else? And I think this is a huge question that you should always ask. Is there anything else that I should be asking on behalf of my client so that I can make sure that I'm doing the level best in making sure that this process works? So we've given you that kind of a cheat sheet, and I would suggest that when you need to start doing the interview process is revisiting the contacts that you already have, and let's go talk to the Chases and the B of A's and the Wells Fargos and Citicorp and whoever else are, even your local lenders in your own marketplaces, and let's create a grid where we can begin to see where the differences are, and you might have a revelation like I did when I went through this exercise a little over a year ago. Buddy?
That's great. That's great, G. And he's talking about the major banks, and the major banks are known as the evil ones. Am I correct?
Yes.
Since you know the market went down a little bit, there is so much emphasis put on helping our veterans. The evil giants are now caving in to see what can we do to make it right, and they're doing a job. We had the meeting that G and I had down in Columbia, Maryland the other day. They were like, how can we help, you know? And I'm sitting there saying, boy, I've never heard a bank say that. You know, what can we do? How do we make it better? And they're really sincere. Now, time will tell. But if you take these interviewing questions that G just gave and you start interviewing your lenders, you're going to get lenders that are going to be sending you business because they're going to know that you're smart enough to ask the right questions to get the job done. Am I right? Mm-hmm. That's what we're looking for. Again, thanks for watching this session, and I know you picked up 2 or 3 ideas that you're going to use in the next couple of days. Am I right?
Yes. Right.
Okay, thank you very much.